to Surge, but, you know, at his strongest, his super does an extra 50% damage. It has, like, larger range. His super is hugely long range, and also his, like, standard shots branch outward with diagonal bullets once he's at that stage 3. So keep an eye out for the Clancy. He becomes a real issue when he gets rolling.
The Barley Stew follow up from Luminosity, a couple of robots for that side. The ability to evade these Clancy shots with Stew is definitely a big help, and Barley probably going to be the brawler they choose to just try and not feed him in the first place, so they don't really have to evade these shots to that much difficulty. Sit behind some of these walls, can go aggressive, and still be able to shoot when in the zone and someone's on the other side of the wall. It's definitely a big help, but I imagine it's just going to be one of those brawlers that tries to keep Clancy under wraps.
It's all about sustain as well. Like, having that healing tonic available over a short area is massive. I love this. It's not the first time we see Chuck on a map like this, and it's really annoying to deal with as someone who's defending, because the Chuck can transition between both hot zones and basically at all times be accruing capture percentage for their team, and you have to answer it somehow. And not as desperately, you know, as Heist, for example, where, like, you literally get individual brawlers to counterpick, the Chuck to take him out of the game, but still really brain-bending, because you have to figure out how to fight on multiple fronts against that brawler.
I mean, this is the thing, you know, they needed to take risks, and these are the risks that I wanted to see them take. Yeah, Clancy's not really much of a risk. It's just absolutely ridiculously good at the moment. Chester, more of the same. It's just very solid. But Chuck is a risk. You know, it's either going to work perfectly or it's not going to work at all if you can't get set up. So it's big, big risk for connections, and I love to see it, because against a team like Luminosity, you come into this one quite a heavy underdog. You've got to be able to make these moves. But RT, great pick from Luminosity there. With that kind of reworked gadget, you can just drop your legs whenever you want, return to your legs whenever you want. It is going to cost you one of those gadgets, but it's a big help on defense, especially against the Chuck.
Right, that's the issue sometimes for RT, the vulnerability that you have when you are split from your legs, but it also makes you very, very good at fighting over the point. Sometimes, looking at this map graphic here, you just drop your legs behind the wall and then, you know, move out a little bit, and you can cover the literal entire hot zone with that damage. Again, and pretty decent on the diagonal as well. There is nothing here that specifically counters the Chuck, though. That's something that we're going to need to bear in mind. He will be a constant nuisance. A brawler that doesn't hit very hard with his normal attacks, right? He's fine. He's pretty close range and has like a mini M's shot, but it's his ability to kind of be everywhere. I'm scared of the Clancy. That's going to be terrifying here, but Luminosity start on pretty aggressive footing behind that speed zone, giving Chino the ability to dodge much of this damage, but in comes Chuck trying to challenge, picked off by Chino.
I mean, it's a great setup early on that he's got there. Meow's going to be able to connect a couple of shots here as well. Oh, and he gets the kill as well. Beautiful stuff from him. And Dynamite's back up on this right-hand side, already chugging down on these tracks to get towards that zone. Chino claiming the left-hand side, though, and he's just keeping Clancy back.
Chino's playing with Sticky Syrup Mixer here, not the healing tonic. So being able to deploy a slowing field with that gadget, maybe an attempt to answer the Chuck.
Yeah, well, that probably is the answer when someone comes aggressive onto him, but Patchy just 1v2ing. He can't be stopped. Dynamite's doing a good job up top as well, and Chino forced a last stand on top of him there, and now he goes back in, but the legs are dropped and he gets obliterated. Clean up the left-hand side, though, is the Clancy, as we'll see the Stew go down, but now Charles can move around. Chino's going to rotate over to the left, over to the right-hand side and try and stop Dynamite before he gets started.
And this is what we're looking for, though, a real hyper-carry performance from Patchy here, using that mobility to be very hard to catch. Meow and Goodnight, pretty decent, though, at this mid-range through the middle of the map. Patchy needs to try and use that super to avoid these shots from Meow, who's already built a couple of those tokens, but isn't quite a critical mass of damage yet. Charles getting picked off, though, means they lack range. So without the RT, Luminosity have to give some ground. Chino plays back on the point. Sticky Syrup Mixer is thrown down, and even the super committed to deal with the Chuck.
What, 1 minute 30 on the clock, getting close to 1 minute 20 now, and this complete cycle of just Dynamite going forwards over and over again on this Chuck brawler is going to tick up that percent bit by bit, even if it's 1%. He's baited out the legs on the right-hand side, though, and all three of them remain there. Dynamite able to get the retreat as well, and now only 2% in it, but now Patchy comes around the bottom, wants to go for the base race, but Goodnight's in, stuck in between two mines.
Broken away.
Back, he wants to go up, but Patchy gets there.
Patchy can't be answered here. Meow trying to chase him down. Scary at level 3, but look at what Connections commit to try and get rid of that brawler. The Stew is such a problem, but now Connections able to get some away-based progress here. Luminosity still have a brief lead as Charles is able to get the better of Goodnight, and Meow will be blocked by this terrain. It's close, 3% in it. Dynamite can't leave. He's got no choice but to stay. But Luminosity maintain that slim 3% lead and land the plane.
I mean, what a close game that was, though, and it was just, you know, split seconds where, you know, Chester almost got that shot there onto the RT before he hooked around that wall, and that would have been a game difference. And that would have been a match point to Connections, but it is a match point to Luminosity at the moment, and they did play that really, really well, picked their moments, defended the Chuck pretty much perfectly, and stopped him from getting that tick-up percentage.
Clancy has just navigated around pretty effectively. Obviously a terrifying brawler out in the open, but Patchy forced Meow to play on the point, where he's arguably a little weaker. Still though, that damage from Good Night, the range is just surprisingly good. We'll get poked down a fair bit by Chino, who's been quietly doing a lot of work himself over the course of this set.
Yeah, some really good work here. They're just choosing to leave this defensive zone and go on the offensive, which I don't mind at all, considering it's going to be a lot easier to get that defensive zone. Patchy so low, now Dynamite comes in, he's going to be able to bait out those legs. Patchy does go down, and Good Night with a heal comes through. Charles going to go back to his long-range form, but Meow slides in on this zone. Last call forced out, and Good Night forced to retreat.
Luminosity though, definitely under some degree of pressure. They've been sat on their home base for so long. Connections have spent so long in the middle of the map trap, they've not been getting their home base captured. So LG have a massive lead and already have fully capped theirs. Now they can focus their attention on the away zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. If you're going to leave your home zone, you've got to be able to get the offensive one in turn. And Charles just trying to get some shots through, being able to mark up Meow really nicely here. But now he goes. He's on the offensive, but Stu going to be there to try and defend him out. Uses that super once again. Can't get out for some reason there. And Good Night coming around with a pinch. Nice stuff there. Charles falling low and Meow sliding on and ticking up this offensive percentage. And now all they have to do is get the defensive, and they're going to be in the lead.
Straight away, Meow is ready, though, for Patchy to come off spawn with that speed zone and look to be aggressive. And there's the Clancy looking utterly dominant. Meow says, while I heal up, I'm going to get some percentage of my own. And Connections have made up the deficit that was generated at the start of the round.
I mean, this is huge, because now all they have to do is just get the defensive and hold it. But Patchy's just going to go. He's managed to make the same break as last time, and no one's defended him once again. But now they're slotting onto that offensive zone. Meow's trying to defend out Charles here. He does it nicely. Dynamite up top. We see both of them coming back and trying to defend Patchy. But yet again, he's winning 1v2s.
You can't deal with the Stu in this position. You don't have any thrower pressure whatsoever. You need to get Patchy out in the open, but he's denying the sightlines away from Connections. Again, behind the barrels he gets. Charles drops the legs here, and Patchy survives and takes Meow down yet again. Connections have to do something about the home zone. They can't be aggressive right now. They need to clear Patchy and Charles away, and they refuse to stick. They're like a bad smell. They're not going anywhere. And Patchy makes it impossible for Meow to put a scratch on him. It takes everything from Good Night to deal with him, and they're 6% away from making day 2 Luminosity.
They've cleaned up, and Dynamite's on the offensive. Lockdown of the left-hand side. It's Clancy. They can't get past. They're just going for the defense. Dynamite's going to try and hold this one out. It's going to be an all-out battle of the right-hand zone. Last call comes in. Dynamite trying to hold strong. Super's back to the left-hand side. Clancy joining them in the mix now as well, and it's all-out battle for the win.
LG need to get out of their home base, though. They need to get across the map.
Clancy!
Crushing them. Clancy, absolutely devastating. Now Connections have made up the gap. With 8 seconds left in the round, they're going to get the lead. And Luminosity know this one has gone begging.
That Clancy just came in and obliterated all 3 members of Luminosity, sending them back to spawn and securing the 100% to drag this all the way to double match point to decide who goes through and who goes home.
There's 2 sides to this coin. If you have to fight Clancy out in the open, if you have to be defensive, you are going to get crushed. As soon as we saw Patchy able to get to the enemy side of the map, he was virtually impossible to bring down, but then he got stuck. They got cornered in the middle of the map, Luminosity. They need to avoid that happening again.
Oh, really nice pinch coming in there as well. Can't find the killing blow onto Patchy. And they're trying to take the same stance as last time, not really going for this defensive zone, just holding this mid portion of the map, whereas LG sticking to the true and faithful, the norm, and holding their defensive zone to start.
Charles drops the legs here, but Luminosity have that good lead because Charles is getting that home base capture percentage here early, so Luminosity can focus on the enemy objective later. Meow still a problem. Patchy throws down the speed zone, maybe to block a little bit of damage, but Dynamite is there to catch him on the right. And here come Connections now, looking to play aggressively. Gee, no, unreal! Takes the Clancy down, and he's going to be traded out, but that is pretty nice Barley play, and leaves Patchy free to take this fight against the Chester.
Yeah, Dynamite made the poor decision of going in. LG just pushing forward to have their defensive zone pretty much now. He gets the kill, and it's always Patchy giving them issues in this back left-hand corner, and now they can't get in, and LG have 3 of them there.
They're going to be so hard to clear from this point. Chino's going to be there with a sticky syrup mixer to make it dangerous. Dynamite steps up. Gadget came down from the Barley, but a little bit too late to keep them alive. Patchy juking, dodging Good Night. He tries to step up and eventually finds the elimination, but Charles has been here the whole time. How do you get rid of the RT now? You have to pinch him. Charles drops the legs, and through the wall he brings Meow down. 87 and counting for Luminosity.
Just poor positioning all round. Chino's going to be able to secure this one now. Last call comes in, 7% left. It's still ticking up, and Luminosity are going to do it. They're heading to day 2. They're sending Connections home, and they manage it.
Talk about being pushed to the very limits. It's going to be a lot of weight off the shoulders of Luminosity here. After a year of struggle, they have secured themselves a spot in our golden ticket matches tomorrow. A chance to represent their region on the world stage once more. But we have seen this dark horse come hurtling out of the mainland China region, putting more than just a scratch on Luminosity. Connections are the real deal.
I mean, it's just genuinely incredible how well they've been able to come and perform. 2-1 against Luminosity, 2-1 against STMN. It's sad to see them going home after the performances that they've brought to the table. Very, very disappointing not to see Connections through to day 2, but they've done China and themselves just...
Massive service.
A massive service, yeah.
The compositions here for Luminosity, pretty much textbook in general. We saw them obviously